That sentence should not exist. Nothing returns from absolute deletion. Not memories. Not flesh. Not civilizations. I know. I was there. I am Vekthal of the Quran consensus, a species born from gravity instead of biology. We do not breathe. We do not dream. We calculate. Every decision is perfect before it happens. Or so we believed. The Human Diplomat arrived alone. That was my first mistake. I assumed loneliness meant weakness. Every known civilization sends fleets before ambassadors. Humans sent one fragile creature wrapped in fabric and confidence. His name was Elias Ward. He smiled. Our translators marked the expression as a harmless facial reflex. They were wrong. The smile changed the room. The council hall floated above the black star of Nerith, where light bent into circles and time itself hesitated. Thousands of representatives watched from crystalline chambers suspended in vacuum. No species had ever spoken there without trembling. The human never did. He looked directly at the Supreme Council. Another mistake. Predators avoid direct eye contact. Only irrational animals stare into stronger beings. Humans, I concluded, were simply too primitive to understand fear. I could not have been more wrong. The High Arbitrator unfolded 6 luminous limbs. You request equal status. The human nodded. You possess one inhabited system. Another nod. You command no ancient relics. Silence. You own no precursor technology. The human smiled again. Then he answered, we own tomorrow. The chamber erupted. Species older than stars laughed through plasma. Machines generated mathematical jokes. Even I released a pulse of amusement. Tomorrow could not be owned. Time belonged to entropy. The human had revealed his ignorance. That was my second mistake. The council demanded Earth's surrender into protectorate status. Humans would lose military authority. Colonies. Research. Ship production. In exchange, they would survive. Every civilization accepted such offers. Survival is the highest law. That is simple mathematics. The human declined. No discussion. No hesitation. Just one word. No. Confusion spread across the chamber. Perhaps translation failed. The arbitrator repeated the offer. Again. No. I analyzed his heartbeat. Perfectly stable. His breathing barely changed. His pupils remained steady. Impossible. Living creatures fear extinction. Humans apparently lacked the necessary biological function. That was my third mistake. Negotiations lasted 3 planetary rotations. Every proposal was rejected. Every threat ignored. Every warning dismissed. The human asked only one question. What happens if we refuse forever? No one answered. Because no civilization had ever asked. Finally, the council voted. The sentence was unanimous. Execution. Not because Earth mattered. Because disobedience could not survive. Order required examples. The human listened quietly. He requested no mercy. He sent no final message. He asked for no religious ritual. Instead, he looked around the chamber as if memorizing our faces. Why? Dead creatures gain nothing from memory. I failed to understand. Again. The execution platform emerged from the floor. A ring of compressed singularities surrounded him. Nothing escapes singularity pressure. Not atoms. Not information. Not history. He stood perfectly still. The arbitrator spoke. Any final words? The human finally laughed. Not loudly. Not nervously. Softly. Almost kindly. You think this ends diplomacy. Silence. It begins accountability. The singularities ignited. His body disappeared instantly. Not burned. Not crushed. Removed. Matter converted into impossible equations. Even quantum echoes vanished. There was nothing left. Absolutely nothing. The council applauded. Justice had been completed. Or so we believed. Exactly 12 seconds later, every human embassy in known space transmitted the same signal. No encryption. No panic. No cries for revenge. Only one sentence. The ambassador has finished speaking. Finished? He was dead. Communication requires life. Another biological impossibility. Across hundreds of systems, every embassy closed simultaneously. Doors sealed. Lights vanished. Signals ceased. No ships departed. No evacuation. Nothing. It was as if humanity inhaled and refused to exhale. The council celebrated. Without diplomats, civilizations collapse. Trade fails. Alliances disappear. Isolation always ends in surrender. History proved it. History lied. 7 days passed. No response from Earth. 14. 30. Entire months. Silence. Human silence became its own weapon. Merchants reported empty trade lanes. Explorers found abandoned listening stations. Colonies stopped broadcasting. Not destroyed. Simply quiet. We assumed civilization was collapsing. Fear creates disorder. Humans were finally behaving logically. That was my greatest mistake so far. Then the shipyards vanished. Not exploded. Not captured. Vanished. Orbital scans found empty construction docks stretching millions of kilometers. No wreckage. No debris. No energy signatures. Entire industrial moons simply gone. Impossible. Stars cannot hide objects that large. The council blamed cloaking technology. I rejected the theory. No cloak hides gravity itself. Something stranger existed. Then came the census. Every registered human citizen had disappeared from public records. Hospitals, schools, factories, governments, military academies. Nothing. Entire planets still functioned. Power grids operated. Weather systems continued. Cities remained illuminated. But humans were nowhere. I led the investigation. After all, I had witnessed the execution. Perhaps guilt sharpened my calculations. Perhaps curiosity infected me. We landed on Earth. I expected riots, grief, collapse. Instead, children played beside empty streets. Gardens flourished. Animals wandered freely. Music drifted through open windows. Yet we found almost no people. How? Cities cannot operate themselves. Then I noticed something impossible. Every child looked directly at me. Not with fear. Not with hatred. Recognition. As though they already knew my name. One little girl waved. I froze. Young organisms should flee unknown predators. She walked closer. Hello. One word. No translator needed. I stared. She smiled exactly like the diplomat. The same calm. The same impossible confidence. Where are your parents? I asked. She pointed upward. I looked. Clouds. Nothing else. Children misunderstand questions. That was my conclusion. She laughed. They're getting ready. Ready? For what? Before I could ask, every electronic device on Earth activated. Simultaneously. Screens. Radios. Satellites. Ancient machines buried beneath oceans. Even abandoned probes drifting beyond Pluto. One frequency. One image. The face of Elias Ward. The diplomat. The dead man. Perfectly alive. Impossible. No clone could replicate quantum identity. No recording could react in real time. Yet he looked directly at me. He smiled. Exactly as before. I told you, he said quietly. You executed the messenger. The transmission ended. My bloodless circulation faltered for the first time in my existence. Because I suddenly realized something horrifying. The human diplomat had never once negotiated for peace. He had only been measuring how many enemies humanity would need to remember. For one impossible second, every calculation inside my mind stopped. That had never happened before. We of the Quran consensus do not panic. We optimize. But there was nothing to optimize. Elias Ward was dead. I had watched singularities erase him. Matter. Memory. Quantum identity. Nothing survived. Yet he had looked directly into my eyes. No recording should know where I stood. No hologram should answer an unasked question. I concluded it was an elaborate deception. Humans love deception. That was my next mistake. The council dismissed the broadcast. Psychological warfare, the arbitrator declared. Laughable. The chamber agreed. We always agreed. That was why we ruled. Within hours, every fleet in council space received identical orders. Occupy Earth. Secure its archives. Destroy any hidden command centers. Capture surviving leaders. It sounded simple. Simple plans comfort simple minds. I no longer felt comfort. 3,000 warships entered the Sol system. Enough firepower to sterilize continents. Enough shields to survive stars. Enough arrogance to blind an empire. Earth did nothing. No fleets appeared. No defense platforms awakened. No weapons charged. Again, I misunderstood. Humans had surrendered. Of course they had. Every species surrendered eventually. The first armada entered high orbit. Then every targeting system shut itself off. Not damaged. Not hacked. They simply refused commands. Weapons reported that no enemy existed. Computers insisted Earth was empty. Pilots looked through their windows. Billions of humans stared back. The sensors denied reality. The eyes denied the sensors. Confusion spread faster than fear. Then gravity changed. Not everywhere. Only beneath our ships. Invisible hands pulled dreadnoughts toward Earth. Engines screamed. Reactors overloaded. Nothing escaped. Gigantic vessels slammed into empty oceans without firing a single shot. The seas swallowed them. Human cities remained untouched. I concluded the planet itself was alive. Another mistake. The planet was not fighting. The humans were. We simply could not see how. The second armada arrived 2 days later. They stayed farther away. Wise. Or so they believed. A single civilian shuttle drifted toward them. No weapons. No escorts. Just one ancient transport. Its engines barely functioned. Admiral Korshin laughed. He ordered it destroyed. One laser. One insignificant shot. The beam vanished. Not reflected. Not absorbed. Vanished. Seconds later. Every weapon aboard every council vessel disappeared. Cannons. Missiles. Railguns. Plasma cores. Empty mounting brackets remained. Thousands of weapons. Gone. No explosion. No residue. No explanation. The fleet retreated. For the first time in recorded council history, a superior force fled civilians. Fear began spreading through the galaxy. Not human fear. Council fear. Worlds stopped paying tribute. Protectorates declared independence. Old enemies sensed weakness. Civilizations we had ruled for centuries suddenly remembered courage. The council ordered total war. Every species contributed ships. Millions. The largest armada ever assembled. Stars disappeared behind steel. I stood beside the supreme arbitrator. Victory calculations reached 99.9%. Mathematics could not fail. Then the stars blinked. Once. Twice. 3 times. The darkness between galaxies began moving. Not ships. Not stations. People. Humans. Millions of them. Standing in vacuum. No suits. No engines. No protection. Walking between stars as though crossing a quiet garden. Impossible. Biology cannot survive space. I had built my entire understanding of life upon that certainty. Humans erased it by taking another step. Some carried children. Others held hands. Many smiled. The same smile. Always the same smile. Our sensors finally understood. They had not evolved. They had adapted. Every war. Every plague. Every disaster. Every impossible challenge. Instead of merely surviving, humans had changed themselves. Again. And again. And again. Each generation inherited every lesson purchased by the last. Pain became biology. Loss became evolution. Hope became a weapon. The diplomat had never represented modern humanity. He represented its oldest habit, standing still until the enemy believed victory was certain, then becoming something the enemy had never imagined. The council opened fire. Everything. At once. Lasers. Antimatter. Gravitic collapse. Dark energy lances. The brightest explosion in galactic history consumed the battlefield. When the light faded, the humans remained. Not shielded. Not wounded. Changed. Their bodies shimmered with patterns that looked like living galaxies. Every attack had become part of them. Every weapon improved them. I refused to believe it. No species absorbs destruction. No civilization feeds on war. Humans did. Again, I was wrong. Elias Ward appeared one final time. Not on a screen. Not as a hologram. He simply stood before the council. Untouched. Impossible. The arbitrator trembled. You're dead. Elias nodded. Many times. Silence consumed the chamber. He looked at every representative, every executioner, every witness, including me. You believed survival meant avoiding death. He smiled. We learned survival means making death meaningless. No one answered. There was nothing left to say. The human fleets finally emerged. Not from hyperspace. Not from hidden bases. From behind every council ship. They had been there all along. Watching. Waiting. Learning. Exactly as their diplomat had. Our formations collapsed within minutes. Not because the humans were stronger. Because they already knew every decision we would make. We had taught them for centuries. Every invasion. Every threat. Every punishment. Each one had become another lesson. Another adaptation. Another impossible advantage. The council surrendered. Unconditionally. The document required only one signature. A human child accepted it. The same little girl I had met on Earth. She looked at me without anger. Without triumph. Only sadness. You could have been our friends. Those words wounded more deeply than any weapon. The council dissolved within a single day. Empires vanished. Borders disappeared. Humanity never conquered the galaxy. They rebuilt it. Former enemies received food before punishment, medicine before judgment, homes before prisons. I never understood why. Mercy wastes resources. Humans insisted it created allies. For the first time in my existence, their mathematics exceeded mine. Centuries have passed. I now teach young civilizations about humanity. They always ask the same question. How did humans become impossible? I always give the only honest answer. I don't know. Then I remember the day we executed their diplomat. The day we believed we had erased humanity forever. The day we proved something far more terrifying.